We fund grants to a bunch of different community organizations, the Center for Children and Families in Vakurovich, our child care centers, Southeast Public Transit, which you might have known as Vermillion Public Transit, but now it has merged with Yankton and it's Southeast. And then, of course, we have our own programs that we fund. So those would be things like the Evan Project. That's a United Way founded and run program. Allen's Bed Bank, and Imagination Library. And then, of course, the Community Connection Center, which many of you have spent some time at and are probably familiar with, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. Our programs that we've been working with a lot of them are seeing a lot of increased need. That's a big thing right now. You may have heard some of the issues that are going on with, for example, domestic violence safe option services. Federal funding has been cut to all of our victim services programs, so that includes DVSOS, but also Southeast CASA, which serves children that are in the foster care system. And both of those programs have lost somewhere around 70% of their funding that they get from the federal government. So we're trying to work with those programs the best we can to help them, but likely we're going to be seeing more mergers. We're going to be seeing more regional coverage, more things that are based in Yankton that are going to be serving Clay County, because we just don't have, honestly, there just isn't the funds to be able to provide those programs locally anymore. So a little bit about our team. So for a long time, for the first 6 years that I worked for United Way, I worked all by myself. And sometimes I wouldn't see another person. Well, usually I'd see Deb, but that was about it. Now we actually have kind of a growing staff because we're just doing a lot more things. Some of them you know. Obviously you know Emmanuel. Emmanuel is a United Way employee, but what he does in that is basically run a different organization, if that makes any sense. But he's our Feeding Vermillion operations director. If you've ever come to the CCC, you may have met Anna. She is our administrative coordinator, and she's the traffic director and the person that helps everybody find the resources that they need. And she has been with us about 1.5 years, and that's been a real game changer. For the first few years of the CCC, we tried to cover that front desk just with volunteers, and what we found was that people were not always getting the same information depending on what time they came in, and we were communicating with a lot of like tiny little scraps of paper, and it was not very efficient. And since Anna's been on board, I feel like the level of service that we're able to give to our clients as well as like donors and volunteers has really improved. Anna recently had eye surgery and was out for a couple of weeks, and the number of clients that were asking about her and wondering when she would be back and wondering if they could bring her anything was really awesome, and it just shows the relationship that she's built with a lot of the folks that come in looking for help. We have 2 Vistas. That's a program through AmeriCorps. If you're familiar with AmeriCorps, it's a federal program that allows people to do national service with nonprofits. And so this is our 2nd year being part of AmeriCorps, and we have somebody that does volunteer coordination through that. And then this year, because of the merger between the Welcome Table and Food Pantry, we just needed somebody to give us a little bit of kind of back-end help on the Feeding Vermillion side. And so Dakota has been working on that. Very soon, it looks like, we'll be getting a new Feeding Vermillion website with all of the different feeding programs on one website, so that it'll be easier to get all that information in one place. And then Jim Lee is our maintenance supervisor, and he takes incredible care of our building. He has had a huge project this year of redoing the flooring in the CCC. If you've been there lately, you may have seen it. If you've not, hopefully come in and check it out, because it's pretty incredible. We've got one tiny square left to do, and then we're finally done with this project. But it's really it's made the place seem a lot less industrial and a lot more warm and welcoming. But he's been doing it a section at a time for, I don't know, 6 months? Yeah, about 6 months now. So it's we're really, really lucky to have him on our team and taking care of our stuff. I also have to give a shout out to my board. I have an incredible board. Leslie Garish is our board president. Kurt Nelson from Polaris is our vice president. Sherry Olette is our treasurer. Trish Falekos is our secretary. We also have Scott Polson. We've got Janice from Sanford, Sarah Schulte, if you know her, Chad, Rhonda Howe, and then several other people whose names you probably know. Unella, who's a Rotarian from SESDAC, Lanny Walker from Dakota PC Warehouse, and then Kim Johnson from the Vermillion Public Schools. So it's a really great team of people that work really hard to make sure that we have the resources to do all of the things that we do through United Way and through the Community Connection Center. So a little bit about the numbers. So this is 2023, because obviously 2024 is not over, so this is still growing. We have a fundraising campaign that brings in right around $200,000. That's about what we're bringing in during our campaign. And then, as I think I've talked about before, we were the recipient of an estate gift from Vern and Bonnie Anderson. And that has been the main way that we have been able to run the Community Connection Center, is through that estate gift. So right around $100,000 comes in every year through that estate gift, as long as the stock market keeps going. So that's how we're able to do a lot of the things that we do beyond just the grant funding. Last year we were looking at about 8,500 people being touched by different things in the Community Connection Center. Looking at the numbers now, because Manuel just sent me some new numbers, it was actually over 10,000, and this is about where we are right now, is that 85. So probably by the end of 2024 we will be over 10,000. Obviously that's not deduplicated. People can come to the food pantry once a month to shop. They can come a second time to get some limited items, and then obviously they're coming month after month. Same thing with diapers. You can come once a month, and then Salvation Army people can come twice a year or up to $200. Salvation Army has seen a lot more people this year. They went through what would normally be their annual budget by about 3/4 of the year. So this is the most money that they've ever given away, and their new fiscal year just started in October. If you can imagine, it's about, I think she went through about $20,000 this year, and if you are limited at $200 per person, you can imagine how many people that's touching. A lot of that, probably the main things that we're seeing, people coming in outside of, food and things like that, is housing. We've been seeing a lot of evictions. This summer we had a lot of transient homeless, and that's a difficult thing. You can't stop an eviction with $200. That's unfortunately the case. And so some of it is just trying to helping people figure out what their next steps are, whether that's moving in with someone else or leaving the area. A lot of times people ask us if we serve USD students. We do. We have been doing a better job of tracking that over the last year or so. The last time I looked, it was right about 18%, but we still have some previous folks who we don't have categorized. So as they come back through, we're putting them in, but it makes up about 20% of the folks that we serve. So some new things that we've been doing that people may not be aware of or may just be hearing about. For a few years, we've been doing something called Allen's Bed Bank, which is a furniture bank. Previously, that was a furniture bank that was run through St. Agnes Charities, and when they lost their storage unit and didn't really have the volunteers to continue it, we took it over. We had been storing all of our furniture and beds out at Maxine Johnson's shop, and just recently we've moved those into town. We have a storage unit, and we're really just focusing on beds now, in part because of our limited space, but also beds are the one thing that none of the thrift stores or anything will do. So you can get a chair or a dining set or something like that at Goodwill possibly, or at New to You or at the Civic Council, but nobody will deal in mattresses. And there's good reason for that, right? Because bed bugs are a huge issue, and if they were to get into your inventory, your store would have to get rid of everything that they have. I mean, it would be incredibly risky for them. And we're very careful about where we take beds from because of that. But also, we know that if we were to get an infestation, us throwing away what we have and putting it in the dump wouldn't be as big a deal as one of those retail stores. So, and when it comes down to it, people can eat on a card table, they can make do with a lot of things, but it's very difficult to work, to go to school, to be able to concentrate and do the things in your life if you can't get a good night's sleep. And so that's why mattresses are so important. So we've got a team that comes and picks up and drops off about once a month. One of the things that is a challenge for us is the summer, because we do rely a lot on students for that. And so this summer we were not able to get enough people in lifting shape together to be able to do any summer pickups or deliveries. So that's something that we're hoping that we can get some volunteers for next summer, so we don't have that gap. This is going to be our third year doing volunteer income tax assistance down at the CCC. We'll start in January. I'm just starting to get the materials now. One exciting thing this year is we are partnering with a class at the USD Law School, and so that'll be a practicum class where they learn how to prepare taxes and go through all the testing and things like that, and then provide those services as part of their practicum. And so having the reliability of those student volunteers is going to be really nice to be able to deliver that program. People are really, really thankful. Taxes are scary to people. People get really, really scared about taxes. And so interestingly enough, it's probably the program where people express the most gratitude for what they get when they come in, and I think it's just because taxes really stress people out a lot. And I have to give a big shout out to John Dudley's wife, Judy, who is our #1 VITA volunteer. She has done more tax returns than anybody. If you need tax help, you don't call Judy, but you could probably call Judy. As many of you know, Feeding Vermillion, the big thing this year was the completion of the merger. So for many years we had two separate feeding organizations. We had the Vermillion Food Pantry, and we had the Welcome Table, which also had tanager takeout and the backpack programs underneath it. Now that is one 501c3 organization, all under that Feeding Vermillion umbrella. And Emmanuel is the main staff person for that. Obviously, John Lushbaugh is still very much involved in all the welcome table sides of things, but we have a single board now, and it's made a lot of things as far as ordering and financials and different things like that a lot easier. So it's one of those things that 5 years ago, I'm not sure if I would have thought we could pull off, and it's been going really, really smoothly, and really excited about that. We did our first year of Pedal Pals. This is a program in working with the Vermillion Police Department to get bicycles to people that need them. They have a lot of abandoned bicycles. We're a town where people just lock up a bike and walk away from it more often than you would think. And we also have a lot of folks that do not have transportation. And so the waiting list for that program is quite long, but we have been able to get out close to 40 bicycles so far. Like I said, most of these are abandoned bicycles that come from the police department, but we do take some on a case-by-case basis some donations of good working bicycles. Rich provided us with 2 really nice ones that we were able to give to some folks, and it's really awesome when I see them parked outside of the food pantry, because I know they're going to be able to, get their stuff in a basket and get it home, and they would have had to walk it home before. So if that's something that you have and you're looking to pass on, just let me know, and we can, especially now that we have this storage unit, we've got places that we could keep things over the winter as well. Connecting care, Jim's talked about this a little bit when he's been talking about the child care grant. This is a partnership that we're working on with the VCDC on to provide vouchers for folks that may not qualify for state aid for daycare. That's something that it's got its own fund, and we've already started putting money into that so that we can grow that to the point that we could support some of these families. There's something called the cliff effect, where the way that public assistance works in this country, if you're a penny over, you're out. And so the difference between a person that makes this amount of money where you do qualify and this amount of money where you don't can be literally a penny, and so a lot of the folks that are just right over that line really struggle. And so this is a program that's really aimed at trying to create a bridge for folks that are in that situation. We had a really successful poverty simulation last year. We're hoping to do another one of those pretty soon, and I hope that if we do that again, I'll make sure to announce it, and then you might be interested in participating. Everyone that came to it said that they found it really, really eye-opening. That's a partnership with the Center for the Prevention of Child Maltreatment, which is a USD entity, but mostly out of Sioux Falls. And they've got really, really great trainers that come in and do those. And so we're planning to do more of those in the future and just kind of try and give people an opportunity to understand kind of the day-to-day struggles that a lot of our clients go through. A few other things that we did this year that were kind of like one-offs. I was telling my board that I'm trying to do a better job of like writing things down as they happen, because otherwise I'm like, well, I know we've done all kinds of things, but then I don't have them all in one place. So we did a swap of items for kids' activities, so things like cleats, dance shoes, all those things that you buy for your kids and they outgrow in like 2 weeks and they never use, or they decide they actually hate soccer and now you've got all these shin guards and why did you buy these? It's a really great opportunity to pass those on so that we don't have to keep buying more and more, and also make it a little bit easier for students that want to participate in activities and maybe don't have the funds to do so. We're also in the early stages of a scholarship program that would specifically target low-income students that wanted to participate in extracurriculars but maybe couldn't afford the registration fee or the equipment. We're working right now, we have a certified commercial kitchen, so if you're ever in need of a commercial kitchen, if you need to do some canning or something, it is available for rental. And one of the folks that rents that is David Beverly, who's a local chef. He has been using it for a number of years to prepare things for catering, and now he started doing a Tuesday, Thursday lunch service out of the Cow and Spoon that he prepares in our kitchen, and then all of the extra meals from that go into the food pantry for families to take home. And so that's been a really awesome thing that has just gotten started. I don't know, Emmanuel, probably 50 meals or so far, right? Something like that? 80, yeah. And this hasn't even been going on for a month, so it's pretty cool. They're really great meals, and so it's a neat thing to be able to offer to families to have, something really high quality and delicious to take home. We have a partnership with Walmart. If you've ever toured the CCC, you've probably seen our pile of stuff in the back. One of the things that they do is basically give us anything that would normally go to their return center or would be thrown away. Yesterday, Emmanuel and I picked up a bike, like a really nice bike, and I think it just has the chain off. Like, I'm going to try and fix it when we get back, but I think it's ready to go. At the end of gardening season, we got a ton of gardening items, and we were able to get those seed starters and trays and different things like that out to clients so that they could start doing some indoor gardening. We had grow lights, all kinds of things, and this is the, I think, 3rd year in a row that we've gotten that at the end of the season and been able to share that with people. We also share a lot of the seeds that we get with the seed library at the Vermillion Public Library. Another partnership that we've recently started is with Emily's Hope, which is a charity that was started by Angela Kennecke from Kellaland after her daughter died of an opioid overdose, and it's really focused on harm reduction and preventing opioid overdoses, and so they have been providing us with fentanyl test strips. Frequently when people die of opioid or fentanyl overdoses specifically, they don't know that there is fentanyl in the drug that they're doing. They're not aware that it's in there. And this is an issue with a lot of people where they are encountering a substance that they think is one thing and it actually has fentanyl, and fentanyl has the ability to basically kill somebody immediately. And so these test strips allow people to test a substance that they're going to use and make sure that it doesn't have fentanyl in it before they use it. They've also provided us with a substance that basically can reverse an overdose in the case of an emergency. And so we keep that now with our AEDs. This is a campaign that they have basically to make sure that people have this Narcan in with their AEDs and their other emergency response. And so that's available right now if we were to have somebody who was experiencing an overdose on our premises, but we're also working with them and with the opioid prevention statewide to look into getting they have boxes that can dispense for people to take home too. So for example, there are people that have family members that they know are opioid users, and they might want to have one of those in their home so that if something were to happen, that they would be ready for it. And so that's something that we're also working on. The East River Legal Services is a group that we partner with. They've come down and done outreach several times. Most recently, they came down at the end of the summer to do meetings with people that were affected by flooding and provide free legal help to folks that are facing issues of flooding that might need help filling out FEMA forms, things like that. But they've come for several different things. Imagination Library is one of our big programs. We provide free books to children 0 to 5 all around the area. Every year we have something called the Dolly Disco, which is a roller skating party that we raise money for Imagination Library for. This, I think, was our 7th annual. Obviously we missed some during COVID. We just had to roller skate by ourselves, but we're back in business, and we'll be doing that likely again this spring. And then we just celebrated 5 years of the Community Connection Center. This September, we had a 5K walk run that we had some really awesome participation in, a lot of fun. And we got a really cool video that Paul Ebsen made about kind of the history of the CCC. So I'm gonna play this video really quick. This is the end. So maybe I'll stop and ask for questions before I start the video in case we have to start scampering off. Any questions? Ross?
You work with Southeast Transit?
Yes.
Is there anything to extend the time that it runs a little bit? It closes at 5 o'clock, and for instance, Votto has dance for SESDAC, and it closes at 5, but transit doesn't pick any of the people up because they close at 5. So.
Right. And this is an issue we've had significantly with Welcome Table too. Welcome Table runs from 5 to 6:30. That's our community meal that we have down at the CCC every Monday, and is heavily attended by folks from SESDAC that used to come via transit and don't anymore. My understanding is the biggest barrier and the reason that they pulled the hours back is lack of drivers. And there is just a real lack of people who have a passenger CDL and are able to drive. We've got one more. I don't know where Kevin went, but you know, we're lucky that there are people that have decided to use their retirement to go get a passenger CDL and drive people around, but there's just the lack of drivers has been a huge issue for them. So I hope that that's something that in the future will be extended. I mean, that's, I've recently joined that board. I've only been to one meeting, but that's something that the lack of transportation is a real challenge for people. They've also done away with what's called the VIP pass, which is basically you pay a certain amount and then it's unlimited rides, and that has been really difficult for Head Start, because that is where a lot of the Head Start preschool kids were getting to and from school. Paying ride for ride is just out of the question if they're going to be doing 2 times a day, 5 days a week. So we're continuing to try and figure out solutions to that, but yeah, it's unfortunately it can be really challenging. So, Mike?
I just wanted to note that the food pantry also donated seeds to the Boys and Girls Club.
That's right. Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely an exciting thing about one of our partners. Boys and Girls Club has actually opened as a club now, you know, in a new building, as opposed to just being like basically originally had taken over for Beyond School Adventures as an after-school program, and is now really moving more into being a full club, which is what we had always hoped and envisioned. And there is a ribbon cutting on December 4th. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the way that Austin has been really fixed up and, you know, walls painted, it's really cool and beautiful, and a beautiful gift to the kids of our community. Rachel Olson and I had a meeting for stakeholders about unattended children in Vermillion, and that was probably like 7 or 8 years ago. And to be here now on the other side is really exciting, and it just shows what you can really do when you put your mind to something in this community. I mean, you can really make things happen, which is a great intro to the video I'm about to show you, which is about the Community Connection Center, which is something that shows what you can do when you put your mind to it. So I'm hoping we'll have sound, but I didn't test it.
Our official ribbon cutting opening was in September of 2019. So that was really exciting. You know, we added people kind of one at a time to make sure that they could get established doing their thing before we added another program in. And so Salvation Army didn't move over until January of 2020. And we're just getting their legs under them. Obviously, that March we ended up closing to the public because of the pandemic, and had to completely change. Like, we hadn't even gotten set in the way we did things, and then we had to completely change the way we did things. So that was a pretty immediate challenge, but it really proved how important it was to be all in one space, and to be able to have so much space to work in.
The first couple of years were rough. They really were. And I should every time. But every now and then there was a glimpse that this place could be awesome. And I think that's what kept me coming back. And it has turned into something awesome. It was just, it totally made sense. And the more we were down here, the more it made sense. It's a delightful place to be. I'm really glad I stuck with it.
So this is kind of the place where people could come when they need assistance. It's like a friendly neighborhood building where everybody can feel welcome. Obviously, there are agencies that are housed here. Our feeding program is probably the most visible to the community. Salvation Army, Rocks, and then of course the United Way offices are housed here as well.
I have a young man now that's been coming in lately. He got accepted into culinary school and is trying to get his funding straightened out. And I try to point him in the right direction, but he keeps coming in and sharing. Now he has a job and he needed a pair of black slacks, so I paid for a pair of black slacks, but he was thrilled. And that's the kind of thing that it just makes it worthwhile.
I've been one-on-one chat with people, and they tell you how this has been a life-saving assistance to them, you know. And so this is a kind of interesting stories you hear when people come through, and you hear that, oh, thank you for what you guys do, you know. This have an impact on me and how it's spread across the community.
I can't say enough about the volunteers, how good they are. I mean, this place doesn't work without the generosity of people. It doesn't work at all. I'm gonna forget it.
I mean, this place has grown so much. Just every time we all meet, we're just like, oh, and this happened, and somebody volunteered to do this, and we're still housing this. It's just, the growth has been amazing. I never want us to get to a point where we're like, oh, this is good, this is working. And then we're just, because this is a problem, the problem of poverty and the problem of need is too intractable for us to just ever coast, you know. We always need to be trying new things, and we always need to be trying to do things better. It's not a problem that we're gonna solve, but I know that we can address it better than we are today because we're addressing it better than we were 5 years ago. I think the thing that I am the most proud of is hearing about people who share their experiences coming here, and the positive interactions that they've had. The relationships that the volunteers have together and the community that is built in this work is also something that means a lot to me. That's definitely what my dream was, and it's taken a while, and it's definitely had some ups and downs, but it's come together better than I would have anticipated. I think that it exceeded my wildest dreams in a lot of ways.
A lot of people come in here not only for the money, the food. I think some people just need the comfort. They need somebody to be around and to have we see a lot of people that just wander in and out of this building, and they just visit with Anna downstairs, for instance, for part of the day, because it's just somebody that they can come and talk to and have somebody to be with, which I think is a big part of it too.
I just have had some wonderful, faithful volunteers that continue to come, and a few rotations, but I can't believe how much they've helped me. So I've benefited as much as hopefully I've helped other people. It's a reciprocal thing.
Obviously, I just want to really thank everyone who's been a part of this whole journey, everyone who's supported the Community Connection Center financially and with their blood, sweat, and tears over the last 5 years. We absolutely could not have done this without you, and I'm so excited for what we can accomplish together over the next 5 years. This is an amazing community, and I couldn't imagine trying to do something like this anywhere else.
So hopefully you spotted some Rotarians volunteering in there and some faces that you know. This won't be a secret to you, but part of the reason I present at this time every year is because it is our annual campaign, and I'm asking you for money. I'll just be honest with you. We can't do this without the generosity of this community. Around the country, United Ways, honestly, are struggling. More and more companies are not owned or run locally, and so workplace campaigns are becoming more and more a thing of the past. In general, fewer people are giving to charity, and that's been true since about the year 2000. Every year, fewer people are giving to charity. There are some people that are giving a lot more, but the fact is that for local programs like ours, Mackenzie Scott is not gonna send us a big check. It just, those people that are giving billions and billions of dollars are giving it to giant organizations that serve globally or at least nationally. So the I sometimes worry, and especially with some of the struggles that our agencies are having, that local help is going to become a thing of the past in a lot of communities. Right now, we are actually a United Way that has only been growing, and I hope to continue to be on that trajectory, but it's something that I see in the communities around us, and even just in the communities in South Dakota. Right now we're an outlier, and so I appreciate so much the generosity of this community that keeps this thing going, and there are pledge cards on your table if you want to take it home and take a look at it. If you are part of a workplace that has a workplace campaign, you can give through that, but just think about the ways that you can support this work in your community, and I really appreciate it. Deb.
I was just going to mention one thing too about, I was on the board when Bonnie and Bert Anderson, when we received that endowment. And so don't forget to think about leaving it in your will too. That
Yeah.
really has a huge impact.
Yeah, I mean, I think the United Way of Vermillion started in 1956 and funded a lot of programs, up to 2017, and did a lot of good in the community. But that family remembering us as one of several organizations that they chose to support, with their legacy gift, was a game changer. And all of those things that you see at the Community Connection Center and the ways that we're able to really be a place for people to go would not have been possible without the Andersons. I mean, it was just in the same way that every time I walk into our public library, I think about Edith Segrist and the amazing gift that she gave our families and our children when she decided to leave that gift to the library, and we all get to enjoy it thanks to her. So, my plan is I want to, as my legacy, if any of you outlive me, help me out with this. I would like them to build some sort of breezeway between the library and the old Carnegie Library, and make it all one thing. So I don't know how I'm not gonna have an estate probably, but if some reason I do, and you guys are around, make sure, say, it's been recorded, Kelsey said that this is what she wanted to do. So you're all responsible now. Thank you all. Thank you, Kelsey.